Good evening. I'm Madowo, live at Kibabii University in Bungoma County. Welcome to this first NTV debate. We are here with the candidates for governor for Bungoma County, and the audience has agreed to remain silent for the duration of the debate, except this one time when we introduce the candidates. From my right, please welcome the candidate for ODM for Bungoma County Governor, Alfred Kangati. Also joining us this evening, the candidate for Ford Kenya, Wycliffe Wangamati. All right. Also with us tonight, the independent candidate for governor of Bungoma County, Jim Duruchi. And also with us tonight, the candidate for governor and current governor of Bungoma County, Ken Lusaka. One other candidate, Stephen Mutoro, sent his apologies. He said he was unable to make it. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here this evening on this NTV debate. I'm going to start again with you, Honorable Kangati. For 2 minutes, each of you will have opening statements. Why are you running for governor of Bungoma County? Thank you. So you're running because you want to keep serving the people of Bungoma. Wangamati, why are you running for governor in this county?
Thank you, Larry. I think first and foremost, we need to appreciate the key objective of devolution. And we need to appreciate why devolution came into place. I think we need to go back to 2007, 2008 post-election violence. As a result of that, then the devolution, the constitution was changed in 2010. The key objective of devolution is to devolve resources from the national race to the county resources. Now, one of the things that has made me think about running for the governorship is to ensure that that key objective of devolution, of empowering the local people, is attained in Bungoma County. I think that's
Ladies and gentlemen, we agreed to remain silent for the duration of the debate. There will be no clapping. I'm afraid if this continues, I'm going to have ask security to throw somebody out. Mr. Ndiruchi, why are you running for governor of Bungoma County?
Thank you. I was born in Bungoma from a very poor family. I schooled here, and eventually I went out and moved around a bit. In 2011, I began an organization to help the people. And since then, I've worked in communities, in those lowly places, cut-off places with people who have nothing really. So we had elections in 2013, and we elected our leaders. And I was thinking that things would change through the time. But unfortunately, I haven't seen them in action. As I move through the villages helping people, I haven't seen the power of leadership, the power of our leaders. So when 2017 came, I decided to run for governor of Bungoma County because I work with the poor and I want to intensify and elaborate further on what I've been able to do in my small way, because the leadership of Bungoma has failed this county and people are bleeding, they are crying because of lack of leadership in this county.
Thank you, Mr. Ndiruchi. Governor Lusaka, why are you running again for this county?
Thank you very much. Before I say why I'm defending my seat, I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the people of Bungoma to send my heartfelt condolences to the family, relatives, and Kenyans at large following the death of our Minister for Interior, Honorable General Ngaiseri. It's a sad moment for us, and on behalf of the residents of Bungoma County, I want to convey my sincere condolences. Secondly, why I am defending my seat. In 2013, I thank the people of Bungoma for giving me an opportunity to be the pioneer governor And being a pioneer governor, I've had to put structures in place, start programs going on. And of course, development is not a one-off activity like electricity, which we switch on and off. There are a number of things that need to continue. And it's my belief and hope that when the people of Bungoma give me an opportunity, I'll be able to continue with the programs and projects that I've started, which are ongoing, so that the people of Bungoma can be able to realize the fruits of devolution.
For all of you gentlemen, what is the single greatest challenge that Bungoma County faces? I'm going to start with you, Mr. Ndiruchi. If you're running here, you must have one single greatest challenge that Bungoma County faces that you intend to address. So what is that challenge and how will you address it if you're elected governor?
Thank you. The biggest challenge Bungoma faces is poverty. The poverty index in this county is chilling. We are surrounded by so many resources. We have the human resource, and we have a potential for agricultural resource, development. But besides the much rain that we receive in this county, we are blessed with the Mount Elgon. We have hunger in this county. And we have a lot of unemployment in this county. And we have jiggers, a lot of jiggers in this county. And in this county, people don't go to the hospitals to be treated. They don't have NHIF cards, and somebody having headache will take Panado. Whichever illness you have, they always take Panado. And you go to a funeral, and you look at the eulogy. When you get to a place where it's written Ugonjwa, you realize this person wasn't even diagnosed. In fact, they will tell you this person died from an unknown disease, simply because people don't access health care in this county. And the bottom line is actually poverty. I intend to fight poverty in Bungoma County, and I know how to fight poverty. Of course, I don't mean to make everybody rich, but I've been around, having been so poor myself, and having been around the poor, I know what ails them. I know the need. And as much as we talk about development of the land, I want to concentrate efforts on developing people.
So poverty is your big rallying call in this election?
Poverty is the big disease of Bungoma.
Mr. Wangamati, what is the biggest challenge this county faces and how will you fix it?
I think let me just expand on one Ndruch has mentioned. I think one, poverty is a function of many other issues. And I think when you move around the county, one fundamental thing, and I agree with him, is poverty. But poverty is a function of many other issues that face people in Bungoma County. Now, one of the fundamental issues that face the youths in this county is the level of unemployment that you have in this Bungoma County. Probably the level of unemployment in Bungoma is higher than the average level of unemployment in the entire country of Kenya. Now, for me, I go back to the issue of the key objective of devolution. The key objective of devolution is economic empowerment of the local people. Now, when the resources come down here, you expect that out of 100 shillings, 80% is controlled by the local people, because they're the majority in this county. Now, one of the things that I've said about unemployment, and I've said it, and I'll say it here again, is that unless we shift the economy of this county from being an agricultural-based economy to a manufacturing-based economy, we cannot address the problem of unemployment in Bungoma County. One of the things that I've said is that I'll look for 100 acres between Webuye and Malaba on the main road, create what we call an industrial park. Invite investors to come and set up cottage industries in this county. Interested like making nails, making iron sheets can be done in Bungoma here, and that will create employment for our youths. And when you look at that, when you set up an industrial park, you must also think about the market for that industrial park. As a resident of Bungoma, when we do that, we must look at where is the market. Now, when you look at the market, you, of course, consider the 5 counties in Western Kenya, as well as being neighbors to Eastern Uganda. You must also think about Eastern Uganda. Right. Now, the population of the 5 counties in Western is about 5 million, Larry. When you add the Eastern Uganda, is about another 3 or 3.5 million. So that is a market of about 8.5 million, similar to the population of Rwanda.
Okay.
Now, my view is unless we start shifting the economy from an agricultural-based economy to an industrial-based economy, we will not address the problem of unemployment in Bungoma County.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Kangati, what is the biggest challenge this county faces and how will you fix it? Please use the mic, sir.
Let me start from the beginning. I was there when we were drafting the constitution. And one of the major problems we wanted to cure was the issue of development. Because at that point, there were complaints that the national cake was not being properly shared. And we decided that every county was going to receive its own money. It was going to elect its own people who would be in charge of the resources. And the understanding was that those counties that were going to elect responsible, resourceful people, those counties were going to grow. And those counties that were going to be wasteful, then those counties had themselves to blame. And one of the major problems we have had in Bungoma is not really the amount of money that we receive. It has been how that amount has been used, how it has been applied. The application, has it met the challenges that the people of Bungoma face or not? As far as I'm concerned, and as far as the majority who are here know, it is that the current government, county government, has been very wasteful. And that is why the money which could have been applied in creation of cottage industries, as has been mentioned here, that money has gone either in individuals' pockets or been applied the wrong way. What I intend to do is to cure that problem. You know, when I went to university, I remember the first time my economics teacher, Professor Ryan, taught me. And he was coming up with a model, an economic model, which was saying that revenue, that is the amount of money you receive, minus expenditure is equal to savings. And that savings is equal to investment. So if you are so wasteful, however many years you are given, the end result is just going to be the same, that instead of investing, you are actually going to accrue debts which will run down your people. And that is what we want to stop in Bungoma County.
Governor Lusaka, that is a direct attack on your government. So before you answer what you're going to do and what is the biggest challenge, you want to respond to two gentlemen have talked about your leadership and the wastefulness.
You know, I'll talk like a practicing governor. You know, it's very easy to talk about these theories before you get to the office. But the reality is when you get to the office, you realize that there are challenges that you'll face. One is that you are not making decisions as independently. You have a county assembly where you'll present your budget and it has to be approved by the county assembly. The county assemblies have had a tendency of mutilating the budget that you take to them for approval. Sometimes you say you want to make a road, then they say, no, put more money on allowances. And if you don't go by what they have said, of course, all of us who are here are not strangers in this country. You know that there's been the question of impeachment. We are going to impeach the governor. And impeachment has been something, a stick that they have been holding. But I think what is important, before we talk about most of these things, and with the due respect to my colleagues who are here, when I came in 2013, the infrastructure in this county had completely collapsed. If you are talking about, say, Bungoma town, where one of my competitors was a member of parliament, the road, say, between the airstrip and hospital was completely in tatters. There were potholes. They were planting bananas every day. So first of all, before you talk even about industrial parks and all these things, you must fix the basics. And the basics are, for example, infrastructure development. Infrastructure, roads is an enabler of anything that is going to happen. So you must, first of all, fix the roads. Bungoma is an agricultural county. The economy of Bungoma is based on agriculture. So when we came in, we looked at, for example, what are some of the strategies that we can use to increase food production so that, you know, somebody has food on the table. You cannot have an industrial park when people are dying of hunger. People must have food. People must have money in their pockets before we talk about some of these things. So a lot of these things that we're talking about, notice that, you know, you are not making this decision as a person. As a governor, you make the decisions with your cabinet. you take the budget to the county assembly. The county assembly, through the budget committee, then sits and approves what is eventually implemented. If they don't approve, if you go out of what has been approved, then you are not going to implement anything. You have a stalemate.
For you, Governor, what is the biggest challenge and how will you fix it?
The biggest challenge, of course, one has been unemployment, like my colleagues have said, poverty, and that's why we've put in place programs that are going to address these issues. If you're talking about, say, maize production in Tongareni, this maize must get to the market. Therefore, you must fix the roads to be able to take the maize to the markets that you're talking about. If you're talking about, for example, Mount Elgon, it's a bread basket for the county of Bungoma. You must also fix the roads. And one of the things that I did when I came to office was to fix a road from Kibuk to Chepkitale, to the farthest end of this particular county, so then the food can be able to get to the market. Then we also had Women Empowerment Fund, we had Youth Empowerment Fund. We're also giving funds, of course, training the youth and women on entrepreneurship, so that we are able to also build their capacity in terms of how they are going to utilize the money that we've given them. So as a county government, which is still there, those are some of the projects, those are some of the strategies that we have used in terms of health, in terms of agriculture, in terms of education, because again, we are dealing with functions that are devolved.
All right. Mr. Wangamati, you want to respond because
Yes,
the governor has said that you have no experience, so it's good to have these ideas, but you've not been in government, so you wouldn't know.
Before even I comment on that, I think one fundamental thing that we must all appreciate, and I liked what Mheshimiwa Hangati mentioned, is that the cornerstone of any management, whether you're experienced or not experienced, is governance. Governance is the core. Now, when Mheshimiwa Governor talks about coming in and doing all these things, tarmacking roads and whatever, before that there was nothing. But he also forgets that before that there was no devolution. Before that there were no resources. What we used to get as town council or municipal councils was so minute compared to the amount of money we are getting as Bungoma. So let's not run away from the fact. And I also want to tell him, this business of excuses about processes, that is management. We don't want to hear, we want to see results.
Governor, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to need for you to be silent. Ladies and gentlemen.
Larry, listen to me, please. We'll give him time to answer. I also want to answer this question that I don't have experience. Larry, I'm a graduate of Moi University. I'm a first-class honors graduate of Moi University. I'm a fellow of the Institute of Actuaries. I was the 4th Kenyan to qualify as a fellow of the Institute of Actuaries. I have been a managing director of Alexander Forbes. Management does not mean that you must have public service management experience to be a manager in any public office in this country. Somebody by the name, the president, the former president of the US, did not have any experience, but he became the president of the most powerful country in the world. So this business of saying that Wycliffe doesn't have experience, please, for God's sake, I don't have experience of corruption in public service.
Silence, ladies and gentlemen, silence. Silence, please.
So,
Honorable Kangati,
I haven't finished, Larry.
you have to finish really quickly, sir. You're taking up all the time.
So I want to tell all Kenyans and Bungoma residents who are here that I have been managing pension funds in excess of 500 billion as a managing director of Alexander Forbes. So you cannot tell me I don't have experience to manage 10 billion Kenya shillings.
Honorable Kangati, before the governor responds.
I want to say this to my friend the governor. Bungoma does not exist in emptiness. Bungoma is not the only county. We have several counties. And we have our neighbors here across River Nzoia, Kakamega County. When you go to Kakamega, you can actually notice what the county government has done with its money. There's a friend of mine who was making a joke that when you want to know whether you have left Bungoma and entered Kakamega, you just sit it in your car, close your eyes. The time you enter smooth roads, you know you are out of Bungoma. You are in Kakamega. That is what a friend of mine said.
Silence, ladies and gentlemen, please.
Okay? So here, what pains us, and I believe it pains our colleagues who are aspirants, is that there have been misuse, there have been abuse of the resources of Bungoma. And we cannot allow that to continue. There is the issue of excuses. I come from a very interesting background. He has given his academic. I also have very brilliant papers. Okay? I don't want to mention them here. But
How has your background? Let's talk about your background. How did it prepare you for this job?
I have an experience of running sports as a sportsman. In sports, you give results. You don't talk about why you did not give results. In Bungoma, we have hospitals, we have dispensaries that do not have drugs. It is not something that you need time. He talked about the period before devolution. We had lopsided allocation of resources. And that's why we had our roads in bad shape and so on. Our hope and expectation was that since we're going to have more money given to the county government, that money was going to benefit the residents by creating better roads for them, by putting medicine into their dispensaries, by creating water. And if the government is still talking about, if the governor is still talking about time to get these things right, then it means he's a poor learner or he has a certain problem.
Governor, both candidates have accused you of excuses.
You know, it's very amazing, that you talk about not giving excuses and yet you give excuses. CDF money was coming. CDF was a stopgap measure before devolution was implemented. And that's why CDF, in fact, should be a devolved fund so that they go to the same one basket. So you cannot tell us that there was no money, it was skewed. Money was coming to Bungoma. And your responsibility as a member of parliament for, I'm just using Kandui as an example, was to fix roads. So what priorities did you give when the funds came? And this is what we're saying. Because you go to Bungoma, Simba Street was completely out of place. The road that I talked about, Old Rex Road, was not there. So we have fixed the roads in most of these towns. We are not giving excuses. We are saying, for example, health. If you are talking about, for example, health, the budget ceiling is 1.2 billion. And you have about 1.8 going to recurrent, paying doctors and all that. So you have about 300 million to purchase drugs and fix the other health facilities that we have. So those are the limitations. These are not excuses. These are limitations that are real. And I'm talking about real things because I am a practicing governor. I'm in the office. So we are not talking about excuses. We are talking about things that are real. And we are saying that you cannot say, the governor is giving excuses, and yet you're also saying the money was skewed. The money was coming. Tell us that you fixed these roads, you put tarmac, you did this ABCD, so that we are able to move. So there are things that we have done, obviously, as a county government. There are also things that have not been fixed because of the challenges that are normal when you are starting in a new structure or in a new process.
Yes, sir, Mr. Ndurushi, before we take a break. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to need for silence in the room. As we go to the break, sir, how has your background prepared you for this job? Because the others have talked about their backgrounds.
Yeah, well, before I go to my background and preparation for the job I'm running for, Governor mentioned something, and it actually makes some sense. He says...
So you agree with the governor?
The rot is not just him. He says the rot is even in the county assembly. So my experience in this county, having been here for 7 years, is that it's not just the governor who is suffering from that miasma. Even the MCAs have a problem. And even the MPs have a problem. Bungoma is having a leadership crisis. And this crisis is not about Governor Kennedy Lusaka. It's about the entire thing.
Silence, ladies and gentlemen.
The system is so rotten to the core. And if we can lose an eye to that and just, nail him down and elect wrong MPs and elect wrong MCAs, then that rot is going to continue. I've been here for 7 years, and I'm telling you, they help nobody. They are nowhere to be found. They are forever going to Kisumu to enjoy themselves. No conferences are held in Bungoma besides us having some very nice hotels, like we have the Elegant Hotel here. They're always going out, these so-called MCAs. So it is the governor plus the people that he has worked with, and Q, the governor's government has been a Nusumkata government. We have had people coming from the other divide, for the Kenya divide, and then he has his people, a conglomeration of cartels that have sucked this county dry and raped everything that was called Bungoma. And we are now so dry, we are nothing. We are completely nothing, and we are bleeding. And we don't know what to do now that it's only 30 days to elections. I'm so worried as an individual.
Okay. Gentlemen, I'm going to leave it there for the moment. We'll come back to you, Mr. Wangamati. I just have to take a...
Larry, one second.
Really quickly, sir, because I have to... yes, sir.
I think it's important that we understand this. Before devolution, we had 9 constituencies.
We're coming back to talk about devolution in detail, sir.
No, I just want to make this comment because in relation to what His Excellency has mentioned. Before devolution, we had 9 constituencies. 9 constituencies times an average of 100 million, 900 million Kenyan shillings. Compare that with 8 billion that we have been receiving. So it's very important that we put numbers in perspective.
But as you talk about 9 billions that are coming, also tell us how much is going for development and how much is going to recurrent.
It is
because
not,
you don't talk
Ladies
about,
and gentlemen, hang on,
you don't
silence.
Talk about,
Larry,
Silence,
Larry,
please.
when you are a manager running, I run my own businesses. I also have a budget with recurrent expenses and development. Yeah. When you are running your unit, it is your business to manage the ratio between the two. Not my business.
No, hang on. Silence, ladies. Silence.
That is his business.
Yeah, yes, Governor, I'm going to give you a response so it doesn't get lost.
I was saying, you know, there are ceilings that are set by the assembly and by the assembly in terms of budget. So you cannot, for example, you cannot put more money than what is been the ceiling that has been given, for example, in agriculture. So you, under recurrent, you see, first of all, you must take care of, say, the people who are going to work. You must pay salaries. And if you are paying salaries, then from what is remaining, that's when you now talk about what is development. So people have been talking about 9 billion coming to Bungoma County. Tell us, for example, out of 9 billion that has come to Bungoma, what is recurrent, what is development?
Okay.
Let us look at
Gentlemen,
let us look at the development money that has come. What has it done vis-a-vis the recurrent money that is there?
Gentlemen, let's leave it there. Honorable Kangati will come back to you. I just have to take a really quick break right now. This debate is going to come back right now live on NTV from Bungoma County. We're taking a quick break. Please come back in a few minutes. Welcome back to the Governor's Debate of Bungoma County, live from Kibabii University. We're coming to you live on NTV. We have candidates here. Honorable Alpha Kangati. We've got also Wycliffe Wangamati. We've got Jim Durushi, and we've got Governor Ken Lusaka. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us, for all of you in the audience and for all of you at home. We appreciate your time. And Honorable Kangati, let's talk about devolution, because in 2013, we had devolution officially kick off in the country. How has Bungoma fared in devolution?
Actually, before we had a break, I wanted to clarify 2 issues, which I thought were being used as excuses. We must understand that resources allocated to the county assembly are resources which are independent of those resources allocated to the county government. So when the governor says that he has been under pressure to utilize some of the resources allocated to the county for the benefit of operations in the county assembly, I think that is not true. It is not true. Number 2, we want to make it very clear that when you become a manager, it's not just about managing money and so on. The most critical aspect in management is managing people. People around you, people that you're working with, people who are making decisions that affect you, and people that are expected to implement the decisions which you have made. So when you sit and say, oh, sorry, I could not do this because I was afraid that the members of the county assembly were likely to come after my neck in form of impeachment, it means that you are more concerned about saving your future as opposed to working for the people of Bungoma. For me, I think I would rather be a governor, even for 2 months, but get things right, than be a governor for 5 years and get things wrong. And that has been the major problem. I want to say something else, because for me, I cannot talk about investment, everything. I just want to talk about one major problem, which everybody who knows Bungoma is aware of, the issue of corruption. The governor will tell you that his budget for recurrent, meaning salaries, motor vehicle running expenses, and so on, is very high. And yet we have drivers who are employed and they sit a whole month before driving anybody out. We have situations where drivers are now property owners. People who are going on foot are now driving Prados. These officers of his lined up here came walking. Now they are very rich people. We need a lifestyle audit to know whether these things that have changed their lives, the money that has changed their lives is not money which was supposed to go for the benefit of people.
Thank you, Honorable Kangati. Mr. Mangati.
I think, Larry, before I even talk about the issues mentioned by Mheshimiwa Hangati.
I would like for you to also give your assessment of devolution 4.5 years on.
Yeah, but before I do that, Larry, I think there was a comment made by Nduruchi here that, the government that came into place in 2013, ilikuwa nusu mkate. There were 40 Kenya ministers and, of course, ministers from Mheshimiwa Lusaka's side. I want to say that that is true. But having said that, it's important to appreciate that some of the best performing ministers in Lusaka's government have come from 40 Kenya party. I mean, Beryl has been one of the best performing ministers in the education sector. She's an appointee of 40 Kenya. So
can we not talk about parties, sir? We're talking about substantive issues beyond the politics of leadership.
I think it's important, Larry, you appreciate what he spoke about. Now, coming back to what Mheshimiwa Hangati was saying, he's right. As I said from the start, the cornerstone of any management is governance. Now, you can talk about recurrent capital or whatever way you talk about it, but unless you manage the leakages of resources, unless where you're spending, like I can give you an example. There are kiosks in Kandu here. When you're coming to Kibabi, Kandu Market, there are kiosks there. When I asked around, I was told that those kiosks cost 2 million Kenya shillings to build. The moment you start spending money that way, of course you don't have money to even pay salaries in the first place. You don't have money to pay suppliers in the first place. So governance is at the core of any management that you can have in any county. Secondly, the issue of devolution, coming back to the issue of devolution, I think where I sit, once you manage the leakages, once you manage the governance issues, once you manage the issue of corruption, then you release funds. Those funds then go into investment. But more fundamentally, you must also manage the perception of the key objective of devolution, which is the economic empowerment of the local people.
All right. Governor Lusaka, that is in a way an indictment of your leadership. What is your assessment of devolution in the 4.5 years you have been in charge?
When people talk about governance and all these things, I think as we sit here, I'm the most experienced in terms of governance. Having started as a district officer and rose through the ranks to become a permanent secretary in the Republic of Kenya. That's the highest position you can ever get apart from the head of public service. And I've had trainings both in the country and out of the country. And my background, by the way, my first degree in the University of Nairobi was public administration and government, political science and history. My second degree in The Hague, Netherlands, was in public policy and administration. So I've been practicing that. In fact, my dissertation, my thesis, my MA thesis was on decentralization, where devolution is just an aspect of decentralization. So if you talk up in terms of experience, I have the experience. And devolution is an ongoing process. It was not going to be like electricity where you switch on and off. My take is that for the first 4 years, one of the key components of devolution, of course, was to recognize marginalized communities. How do they also benefit as part of this bigger government? And when I took over, even before I took over, I said I wanted a my political pillar was that I wanted a united county. That's why I picked my deputy from Mount Elgon. And then if you look at the structure of my government, it has all the major communities of this county. This has seen peace, because without peace, you can forget about any other development that you are talking about.
How can you talk about peace, Governor, when there have been some conflicts in your campaigns, between your campaign and that of Mr. Wangamati here?
No, I'm talking about universal peace. Forget about an incident that occurred out of, the two groups clashing. But for the last 4 years...
Somebody died in that incident, Governor.
Somebody died, of course. It's unfortunate. But we don't want to get into the details of that. But I'm saying that we are talking about peace in the county. This is an one-off event that happened when I went to present my papers. And like I was saying, the matter was determined by the IEBC. And I'm saying that as a county, we have seen relative peace in terms of communities that live in this particular place. As a result of that, we have been able to put in place programs and projects that are now ongoing in health, in agriculture, in education, and all the functions that have been devolved. So if you asked me, we have been on course. Of course, there are challenges, just like any other new process starting. When I took over, of course, I had to assemble a team that was to assist me in delivering what we set out to do. If people want to be realistic, you know that you cannot you cannot have a smooth ride, because you are putting together people, various backgrounds, and coming to work for you or to deliver services. So in my position, I think that we have done well. Despite the challenges, there are those areas where we have scored well. There are those areas that need improvement as we go forward.
Mr. Nduruchi, your assessment of devolution in Bungoma County, 4.5 years on.
Well, devolution came and we were so happy. We thought, having been in an opposition zone for almost 50 years, we now saw light at the end of the tunnel. And we thought we would never again go to Kabarak, never again go to State House. In fact, we told ourselves we shall be in the opposition and be very happy in Bungoma. And so money began coming in. And we have had problems upon problems with the money that came in. What was to be a blessing actually became a curse that has degenerated into something that is quite lethal. And in fact, because of this devolution money, if we are not very careful, we might plunge this particular county, into a lot of problems in August, 30 days from now.
Why?
Because people are out to get that devolution money. People are not looking at the devolution money as something, a blessing to bless the county. They have lined themselves into little cartels that are following these gubernatorial candidates and supporting them and now cheering very loudly because they have been promised positions in those respective governments, and they simply want to eat that money. So you look at what has happened from 2013, and we have the governor with his government, and we have a senator. The senator, Mr. Moses Masika Wetangula, who is supposed to play an oversight role with the governor. And the disconnect between them, we don't know what happened. But according to me, in my opinion, a lot of things happened. The governor was responsible for those in the supervision of the senator.
Right.
They never worked together. They did not make us get out to protest when Webuye was falling into pieces, to protest when this wheelbarrow thing came out. I really wanted the senator to come from Nairobi and rally the forces so that we move around and make this place ungovernable until we get answers. That didn't happen. And so it's all about bad leadership in Bungoma County.
Let me ask about that.
If we cannot allow ourselves to look at these things objectively and with the wide eyes, we might end up, zeroing in on one part when when the egg is rotten.
All right.
Both eggs.
I know you all have responses, but I want to get some crowd reactions right now. We've got NTV's Lois Wongo is here with me, and she's in the crowd. Lois, what are they telling you?
Indeed, Larry, we are getting a number of reactions. We have Mr. Simiyu Mutaki, who's a trader, and he has a specific question for the incumbent, Governor Lusaka. His focus is on small business enterprises. Then we will have Mr. Suleiman Harun Hamisi. Mr. Simiyu, once you're ready, just let me know. We'll have Suleiman Harun Hamisi. He has a question to the Ford Kenya gubernatorial aspirant, Wycliffe Wangamati, and his question will focus on your track record. Prepare for that. Thirdly, we will have Anne Natunga, a resident and a teacher by profession. Her question is to all the candidates who are trying to convince the electorate here. Her question goes to pen paper. We have someone?
Yes, do you want to go to Mr. Simiyu?
Mr. Simiyu.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Yes, so Mr. Simiyu, do you have a mic? Oh,
I guess
Lois
will be kind enough to give you a microphone, sir. Okay.
So, Simiyu Mutaki, your question to Governor Lusaka on issues trade. Go direct to the question, sir.
Thank you. With humility, I want to appreciate the gubernatorial candidates seated here. I have a question that goes direct to Governor Lusaka, and my question is simple. Bungoma people are very poor. I come from a very poor background. We have automated machines that were purchased at a whopping 138 million. We have poor widows, poor people in Bungoma, those selling cabbages. Some pay 30 bob, I'm finishing, 30 bob in a day. And Governor Lusaka, with due humility, to at least tell us success stories about those automated machines that collect revenue, because Bungoma people are suffering. Thank you.
All right. Many thanks, Liz.
Okay.
I want to take one more so that we at least will have several answered at the same time.
We had Anna Tunga. Yes, she's a teacher by profession. Your question on pen paper, directly to the question.
Thank you so much, the NTV crew, for giving us this unique and rare opportunity. I would like to know, pen paper has been the backbone of the economy of people of Bungoma County. I would like to know if Bungoma County is benefiting from pen paper and how. Is it owned by the central government? Is it owned by County 039? Or is it a private entity? Thank you.
All right, that is a question I believe all the candidates can take, because I want to join the pen paper question with the question of the industries getting revived in the county. Governor will come to you. I want to start with the Honorable Kangati and then go around the floor. The revival of pen paper, how are the people benefiting from that? And also there's a lot of other industries in Zoea Sugar that people are looking forward to. What happened in that?
You want me to pick on that?
Yes.
What I know is that pen paper was originally a government of Kenya project in collaboration with private businessmen from India. The Indian group ran away and left the management of pen paper entirely in the hands of the government of Kenya.
All right.
Then, of course, the receivers came around because pen paper had a lot of debts. It was closed down. It was put up for sale. And from there, I think His Excellency Lusaka is in a position to answer better, because we are told that it was sold by the Kenyan government at a very miserable figure of 900
million shillings, yes.
Million shillings to one Indian entrepreneur called Rai. The most interesting thing is that the business of Rai is jointly owned by some Kenyan leaders, including the former head of state, His Excellency Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. So what it amounts to is that pen paper has been taken away from the government of Kenya, sold at a very, very low price, 1/10 of what its value is, to private individuals who are also leaders in this country.
Governor, was it sold for 1/10 of its price, and is it true that the people, like she asked, are not benefiting from it? I'll come to you, sir. Because I have to go to a break so that we have a bit more time for substantive conversations.
I think the issue of pan paper must be put in proper perspective.
Really quickly, Governor, because we have time in the next hour.
Went under receivership, and as a result of that, of course, when it goes under receivership, it means the banks were owed money, the long-term lenders and the short-term lenders. The short-term lenders were part of Kenya government, and the long-term lenders were the banks. So the banks wanted their money. And it's not the Kenya government or the county government that sold pan paper. The long-term lenders wanted their money paid back, and therefore they advertised for pan paper to be sold so that they can recoup what they wanted. If anybody has any other valuation, because you know what has been flying around are rumors. If you have any other valuation, contrary to any valuation that was used to sell it at 900, then you produce. And before that, pan paper had been lying there for the last 8 years or 9 years. We had some of these leaders who are now talking about pan paper who were in positions of leadership. They never made any effort to revive pan paper. Pan paper was therefore advertised that it was there for anybody to purchase it and make use of it. What the government did, and what I also did as a county government and the national government, of course, in collaboration with the president, was to ensure that either a similar factory was put in place or something was put there to give employment to our people.
All right.
Otherwise, it would have been sold as scrap, sold as plots, and they would have built high skyscrapers in Webuye, and our people would not be getting employment.
All right.
So how would we have benefited as a result of that?
Was that the best use of pan paper, Mr. Omata?
I think for me, Larry, one thing that we must be very clear about is what Kangat has mentioned. And when Mheshimiwa Lusaka speaks and says that the valuation was done and arrived at 900 million, that is a lie. Okay? We have a valuation that was done, I think, in 2014, 2015 financial year, that arrived at a valuation of about 18 billion Kenya shillings. Right? So even that price of 900 million is even not 10% of the valuation of pan paper. But that aside, so it was sold at a price that didn't make sense, didn't make any economic sense for selling. That is one. Secondly, the question is, when that was happening, he was the governor. He had the responsibility to protect the residents of Bungoma. Thirdly, which is the most important thing, he now talks about saying that it was sold by long-term lenders, short-term lenders. Then what business does he have to go to pan paper and say we are reopening pan paper?
All right.
As a governor?
Of course,
Silence, please. Silence. Silence.
Let me tell you.
Governor,
Just
really
one
quickly,
minute,
because we come back.
minute,
Yes.
Larry. You see, he's, for example, my colleague here, he's an investor here. He's running tourist hotel. If you invite me today as the governor to go and open it, I will go there to open it because it's an investment in my county. I cannot discriminate against something, an investment.
Silence, please.
My place. So when I go there to open pan paper, I'm just going to open it just like anybody else can. We can open.
You know,
that
Larry,
is coming to my county.
when you bring His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya to open pan paper and tell people of Bungoma that we are reopening pan paper for the sake of people, that is a private investment. Let it run on its own.
Hang on.
Who said the
Silence,
president cannot
please.
open a private investment? Larry, I'm asking this question. That is the President of the Republic of Kenya, who said he cannot open a private.
Why is he not
investment
opening Tusk?
If Tusk is asked him to come and reopen it, he will come. He's the President of the Republic of Kenya. He can open it.
Gentlemen.
I'll say this, Larry.
Gentlemen.
Very soon I'll go to his office to ask the president to come and open. I'm building a hotel in Bungoma. I hope he'll come and open.
Gentlemen.
He will come. He will come.
Gentlemen.
He will
Gentlemen.
come. Of course, if the day
Mr.
they are
Nduruti.
allowing, he will come and open it. Invite him. I went to open Tesia. The Tesia that opened the other 2 months ago in Bungoma. I went there as a governor to open it because I'm the governor. And I'm happy there's an investment.
We have to leave it there for the moment, Honorable
I think,
Kangati.
Larry, we are
Honorable
missing the
Kangati.
point. We are missing the point.
Honorable
The
Kangati.
point here is
Honorable Kangati.
we are missing the point, and I don't want this point to get lost. We are
In
missing
10
the
seconds,
point.
sir.
The serious point here is that we have got an asset belonging to the people of Bungoma. We are not foolish. We know. My training is in valuation. I did land economics and project management.
All right.
Okay? We know
All right.
the value of pan paper.
Okay.
When it is sold to friendly individuals, it amounts to an abuse
All right.
of power. Okay?
Gentlemen.
And that is why we are saying Governor Lusaka has failed in his major duty and responsibility of protecting the assets and resources of Bungoma.
Let's leave it there. Let's leave it there for the moment. Gentlemen, we'll come back in the next hour to complete this debate. There is still plenty of ground to cover. We're coming to you live from Kibabii University in Bungoma County. This is the first governor's debate on NTV, and we're in Bungoma County. We're going to take a quick break right now. We'll be right back. We've been here since 7:30 talking about the issues in this election, and we're here with the Honorable Alfred Kangati, who is from ODM. Also here is Wycliffe Wamangati, who is from Ford, Wangamati, I beg your pardon, who is from Ford, Kenya. We also got the independent candidate, Jim Duruchi, and Governor Ken Lusaka, who's running again on a Jubilee ticket. Gentlemen, thank you so much for staying with us. And the audience, thank you so much for spending time with us this evening on NTV. We were talking before we went to the break about reviving the industries in the county, and that has been a very contentious issue because most of you admitted one of the biggest problems in this county is unemployment. Mr. Duruchi, you were about to make your point.
Come again?
You were about to make your point about reviving the industries in the county in terms of providing more jobs for the many unemployed youth. You yourself admitted unemployment, poverty is one of the big problems.
Yeah, I agree. It's obvious that unemployment is a huge issue in Bungoma County, just like everywhere else. While, for example, the US is having 4.2, unemployment rate, we are having 40. And so a lot of our young people are rotting, but here is my approach. When I become governor of Bungoma County, on 8th of August, I'm going to not only focus on the youth. Bungoma is an agricultural county, and I want to modernize the agriculture. I would want to bring in greenhouses in a bigger scale. I would want to look for markets for these agricultural goods. I would want to create food banks in all locations. I was so surprised when I was in Mabusi yesterday in Bumula sub-county, and 2 kilogram tin that was going at 140 is now retailing at 50 bob, already 50, because of people not having a place to expose their produce. And so I think that creating an industrial park to employ the youth is okay, and I support my friend WW on that. But I would also want everybody in Bungoma, being an agricultural county, to be involved, and so that even the woman in the village down there will benefit from my administration as governor.
Right.
Because if we create an industrial park, and then we create employment for a few, just a section of the Bungoma fraternity, then in my opinion, we wouldn't have solved the poverty thing. And the biggest problem in Bungoma is poverty. And this poverty is not just among youths. The poverty is everywhere in Bungoma.
All right.
And so I would want to attack poverty in totality by engaging every individual. And these people in Bungoma, I have a lot of confidence in them. They're not lazy people. They only need direction and resources to flow from the county government and get support from our partners out of the country,
right,
and the goodwill of our neighbors, and then we will be home and dry.
Okay.
Yeah. So my approach is wider, and I want to do that when I become governor of Bungoma County.
Wycliffe, what are you proposing to do?
Larry, before I even comment about what I'm going to do, I just wanted to go back to the issue of pan paper. And it's important that every single person in Bungoma understands this. When you look at the portal of Jubilee, one of the things that I've said they have done in this county is pan paper. Now, if we sit here and the sitting governor is saying it's a private entity, and Jubilee, where he's the national chairman, is saying that one of its success story in Bungoma is pan paper. So I think it's important that the residents of Bungoma do understand that what is happening in pan paper is a political issue. They're just using pan paper for purposes of politics in this coming election. Secondly, and I want to say this without any fear of contradiction, that if you're going to sell an asset like Pan Paper at 900 million, Larry, and probably your entertainment budget for our financial year is about 800 million, it doesn't make any economic sense. Thirdly, for me, if I was sitting as a governor in Bungoma County today, I mean, in the last 2 or 3 years when Pan Paper was being sold, what I would have done, because if somebody was willing to sell Pan Paper at 900 million, and this is what I'm talking as a businessman, if somebody was willing to sell Pan Paper at 900 million, as a county government, I would have looked for money, structured a long-term debt with whoever was selling, buy that asset, and even just sell it and make quick money out of it. It doesn't make any economic sense. Now, coming back to the ip of what I will do, and I just want to go back to the issue of industries. I've spoken about the issue of industrial park, but the issue of unemployment in Bungoma, and industrial park is just one aspect of it. One of the things that we must do is to ensure that the constitution that we passed in 2010 do say that 30% of the tenders and jobs at whatever level must go to women and youths. We must encourage that to happen, and that I'll do as governor, to empower our youths to be able to participate and be able to do business with the county government of Bungoma so that they can empower themselves, so that they can employ other people. Okay. Secondly, the issue of the industrial park. And my colleague is talking about the agriculture. We'll talk about the agriculture later on. But to me, the issue of the industrial park can be as big as you want it to be. You can create as many cottage industries across the entire county as you may want it to be. It doesn't mean that an industrial park is just going to be one thing. You can have so many other small cottage. Go to India. Go to India. In India, you don't have these big cement manufacturing companies. You have very small industries, cement industries. So this issue of cottage industries, let's not limit to just a park. It can be used to create a lot of industries.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Kangati, what are you proposing to do?
One, I want to mention that Pan Paper is not the only industry that has been laid to waste. We have Malaba Malakisi Ginnery. We also have Kitinda Dairy and one or two others. I think we overemphasize the value of Pan Paper. If you want to help the common man, and I want to share this idea with His Excellency the Governor, it is a lot easier to develop the dairy industry as an alternative to agriculture, the pure agriculture, maize, etc., sugarcane, and so on. I think at one point, he tried to do that by giving out animals, cows. And I'm told he's up to that again, hopefully to endear himself to the voters. But if I were in his position, I'll find it a lot easier to use artificial insemination. You reach many people, many farmers, and you allow the farmer to upgrade his animals, and therefore you revive the dairy industry.
Right. So you're proposing to revive the dairy industry here.
Please allow me. Coming back to the Ginnery Malakisi, I was in China, and in China, the textile industry employs millions of people. The textile industry, from planting cotton, harvesting cotton, taking to the gin, up to, at the end of the day, tailoring, making good suits that some of us are wearing here. It's a long chain of employment. We need to do that here by reviving Malaba Malakisi Ginnery. It's very useful. I want to pick another point. I think he picked it and he did not exhaust it. But I want to say this. When we say we want to empower the youth, then we advertise jobs. Simple things like building ECD classrooms. Then we put high demands on the applicants. For you to qualify for this tender, you must have 3 years experience. you must have an account reading like this, you must have equipment, etc., etc. That is not a fair way of helping entrepreneurs who are just beginners. We have youth who have qualified, they have come from universities, colleges, technical institutes, but we are also blocking their growth path, because if a youth is just starting his company, where would he have gained the so-called 3 years experience? For him to gain experience, he must be given the first job. Where would he have gotten the money to put in the bank? So that when the county government is advertising for that simple job, then he can go and pick a bank statement and show it.
Okay.
So we need actually to be guarantors of the future of our youth by providing enabling circumstances.
Okay.
For me, as a governor, I'll be talking to the MCS. We create legislation which will make it easier for the youth to access opportunities like those ones. Then they employ themselves. But if we start talking about employing over 500,000 youth directly, it is not going to work.
Okay.
We are just making some pipe dreams.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Governor, what do you propose to do? Because a lot of people are talking about some of the initiatives you've done and faulting them.
First, I want to respond to what Simiyu Mutaki asked about the automated system of revenue collection. When I took over in 2013, the revenue collection was 103 million. As we speak now, because of the new system, we are at about 677, approaching 700,000. So there's been a lot of improvement, because when we took over, there was a lot of pilferage, there was a lot of theft. People were collecting money and paying themselves. But we have now minimized the contact between human beings and money. That's why we have gone to automate the system to be able to collect as much revenue as we can. So I think that raises the case. Now, a lot of these things that my colleagues are talking about, of course, they are good ideas. But one thing that is practical and real is that, you see, like what we are implementing now is the CIDP, the County Integrated Development Plan. These are plans where everybody, what we are talking about, public participation, they come up and give ideas of what they want to be done in the area. For example, if you went to Malakisi and asked people, do you want the cotton ginnery or what do you want? They will tell you they want to start a cement factory in Malakisi. You are not going to force Mwanainji that now these are my thoughts. So you must take what they are saying, and that's why public participation is there, that as you go to consult them, you have a roadmap of what you are going to implement. It's not what you want to do, but what Mwanainji want, for example. I can give you an example where we said we want to have piped water schemes. And people, when we went for public participation, people said, let's start with the basics. We want wells, protect springs. And you see now, these are Mwanainji talking, and you are going to implement it on behalf of Mwanainji. So what we are saying is that, as much as, you have your vision, you are at the head of the government, but what is called public participation and the CIDP is the roadmap that guides what you are going to do, and these are the views of Mwanainji. These things of like the industrial park, we have identified land in Webuye for an industrial park. All we are waiting for are resources, because again, you go to the county assembly, you say we are going to want to buy land, or we want to put up in an industrial park. They tell you no, what we want is a road done in my ward.
Okay.
So you must respect the views of the people, because that is what then guides what you are implementing as a governor. You are not doing it as a person, but you get views, and you're also guided by the county assembly.
Real quick, sir, I want to take some audience questions before we wind up.
Yeah, just a quick one. I think probably the governor didn't understand Mutaki's question. I think Mutaki's question was this, that there was a system that was procured for revenue collection. The one-off contract value of that system was 138 million Kenya shillings. The annual fee for that system is about 12 million Kenya shillings. Does it make any economic sense? One, to pay 138 million Kenya shillings for an automation system, and all of us understand. I mean, we procure these systems.
Okay.
That is
Secondly, let me finish, Mheshimiwa. Secondly, to be paying an annual fee of 12 million every single year to collect 600 million, that is about that's about 2% of your revenue. It doesn't make sense.
You see, there's what we call government is not run on rumors and stories. Government is run on facts. There is a procurement process which was followed.
All right.
And if there are any issues that you want to raise on the procurement, There are agencies that deal with corruption. There are agencies that EPOA is there that deals with the procurement. You file a case and they will investigate.
Okay.
But if you just come up with a story, oh, this was this amount, you are talking to people who have no idea what this thing you are talking about is all about and what process it went through.
Okay.
So if there are any issues, you raise it with the relevant authority and let it be followed up.
Silence, please. Silence, please. I want to leave it there because we'll keep going back and forth on this issue. I have time for just 2 questions from the audience real quick. Lois Wangoi is taking those.
So our first question is from Godfrey Nganga, a resident of Bungoma and a businessman. His question is directed towards you, Governor Lusaka, on matters revenue allocation and expenditure. Very quickly, Geoffrey.
Governor, my question is, in your presentation, you are comparing the revenues of the county government with the revenues CDF. In your honest opinion, using the same rationale, if the people of Bungoma gave you a chance to serve as an MP in one of these constituencies, would you perform better or more worse?
Thank you. Our second question. Thank you. Our second question is from Job Makoha, a resident also. He is in supplies. His question is towards you, aspirant Wangamati from Ford Kenya, and I will allow him to ask his question. Job, very quickly.
Okay. My question is very brief. Honorable Mheshimiwa WW, otherwise known as Wangamati. The question is this: you are known to be a businessman and a good businessman. How comes, my worry is when we become the governor of Bungoma, because after all, as a businessman, you have to make profit. Will you continue making your profit using the county resources or not?
All right. Okay. I'm afraid that's all the time we've got for those 2 audience questions. One for Governor Lusaka, and both of you can answer real quick, then you can make your final closing arguments. Sir, silence please. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to finish. Ladies and gentlemen, silence please.
I didn't get the first question, that was being, what was the question?
I'll take that again. Yeah. So the question was from Godfrey Nganga. His question was on revenue collection and allocation, and I think he wanted clarification from what you're collecting within Bungoma County and also funds from CDF. In your position as the CEO of the county, are you ensuring that these specific monies are put into the correct projects that the monies should go into, or do you just disburse according to what Mwananchi here is asking for?
Of course, we have what the budget committee. First of all, the CC, the cabinet, comes up with the budget, which is then subjected to discussion by the budget committee. Then it's finally approved by the county assembly to give you authority to appropriate what you want to do. What the Mwananchi does is to come up with priority programs, which are then condensed in the CIDP, what I talked about, that guides what you are going to implement. And for example, if, say, Minister of Health, like now we have 2.2 billion, which has been allocated to the Minister of Health. Out of that, 1.8 billion is going on salaries.
Right.
So what you remain with is about 800 million, which then you have to buy drugs.
Okay.
You have to do all other things that, maintain the dispensaries, health facilities, and that kind of.
All right.
So it's guided by the budget that you have been given.
Okay.
And CDF, of course, doesn't come to the county to the county government. CDF is currently controlled by the members of parliament.
Okay, Mr. Wangamati, real quickly, there's also a specific question for you. Then I'll give all of you gentlemen a minute each to wrap up.
Thank you, Larry. I think everybody in Bungoma knows that I'm a businessman, and as a businessman, at the end of the day, you look at the bottom line, and I will not run away from that fact. But when I become governor of Bungoma County, that attribute of a businessman, I'll bring it to the management of resources of Bungoma County by ensuring that some of the basic governance issues are dealt with. I cannot allow as a governor, as a businessman, because at the end of the day, what a businessman does, he maximizes revenue, minimizes expenses, and maximizes profits.
All right.
That's what a businessman does. So what I'll do is that I'll take those attributes of a businessman to the management of resources of Bungoma County, so that I don't allow basic stuff like buying a wheelbarrow for 109,000 to be done.
Silence, please. Silence, please. Ladies and gentlemen, hang on. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to bring this debate to a close. It's been very fascinating this evening. Thank you.